It's like I didn't even know my own wife. Logan glared out of his Beverly Hills corner office, taking in the views of Rodeo Drive below. The million-dollar art pieces that dotted his walls and the exquisite leather furniture shipped in from Italy did nothing to brighten the sourness of his mood. Ex-wife, technically, sir, his mousy assistant Kevin Reed reminded him as he walked into his office. Logan's head throbbed with a dull pain. It was something he had contended with in the years following his coma, the result of the accident that brought Ivy Monroe into his life. He would have these flare-ups during times of undue stress. However, his stress as he stood was very much warranted and caused by one woman, Elena Drake. His interactions with her over the past week had him tangled up inside and out. He could excuse her actions at Apex's red carpet event as a scorned woman in a tight-fitting dress looking to show her ex what he was missing. He hated to admit it, but she had executed that perfectly. But last night, the quick-witted legal strategy that she hurled against him inside the private hospital suite of Cedars-Sinai, the moves she made that even he, with his sharp business mind, couldn't have predicted, they impressed him. But more than that, they scared him. It wasn't just that Elena had changed in the days and weeks since their divorce. Logan began to wonder, had he ever known the real Elena Drake? This was the question that had him up at 3 a.m, rifling off text messages and emails to his underpaid assistant, demanding he scour the internet for pictures of Elena, anything that might give him insight into who she truly was. Logan turned to Kevin, eyeing the thin manila folder in his hand. He was on edge. "Well, did you find anything?" Kevin deposited the folder onto Logan's desk. "This was all I could find, Mr. Bennett." Logan tore up the folder and rifled through the half-dozen images Kevin was able to source. Photos of Elena at gallery openings and high-end restaurants, a few of her with no makeup hiking mountainous trails. Logan lingered on these photos and was struck by the way Elena's skin glowed, and her eyes beamed without the distraction of foundation and contouring. Had she always been this natural of a beauty? Logan shook himself out of it. There Elena was again, transfixing him. He hated it. "These are all from our marriage." Kevin shrunk, knowing how extreme Logan's temper could get. "I'm sorry, sir. It's all I could find." Logan fumed. "What about Grayson Drake, her supposed brother?" The appearance and introduction of Grayson Drake was the thing that first made Logan question whether or not he ever really knew Elena. Elena was always tight-lipped about her family, and Logan's apathy towards her made him never dig any deeper than what she offered. He was kicking himself for that now. But he knew that the well-dressed man that stood before him yesterday, the man Elena claimed was her brother, came from money. He could smell it on Grayson a mile away, which meant that Elena's story about coming from a small mountain town with no money was all a lie. But why lie? What was she hiding? "Nothing on the brother, sir." Kevin broke Logan's concentration. "What do you mean? No shoutback or social media presence? No legal documents in that name? According to the internet, there is no Grayson Drake." There was that throbbing thing in his head again. "What about the private investigators I asked you to call?" In his early morning email rampage, Logan had sent Kevin a list of private detectives his family had employed over the years. Trusted men and women who could dig up dirt on a shadow. He knew they could help him. Kevin struggled to get the words out. "They, were unavailable? All of them?" "Yes, sir." Logan swiped the folder of photographs off his desk in a fit of rage before grabbing his head, the dull throbbing now an axe threatening to split his head open. "Aspirin, now." Logan's assistant scuttled away as he slunk into his office chair, a harsh reality taking hold of him. He was being outmatched and didn't know where to turn next. Meanwhile, on the edge of town, Elena and Grayson rode in the back of his private car, twisting and turning down the Pacific Coast Highway, mountains on one side, the Pacific Ocean on the other. It was something they used to do as children, looking out the window of their car toward the endless sea, feeling as if they were flying, imagining a day when they could break free of their mother's gold-plated cage and get out from under their father's trust fund and just be themselves. Elena had almost accomplished that. But here she was, back again. Grayson handed Elena a glass of champagne. You might not know this, Gray, but drinking while pregnant is one of those things that faded out in the 80s. Grayson threw on a mock laugh as he poured himself a flute full of bubbling liquid. Hardy har, it's sparkling water. Grayson held his drink in the air. To us. Elena looked on, confused. For what? For our reunion. For getting back at that ass you once called a husband. I'll drink to that. Elena and Grayson nipped down their drinks. Grayson looked on at his older sister, a burning question on his tongue. Now that you're home, I have to ask. Elena had been guarding herself for this moment. Dropping off the face of the planet for 10 months and then reuniting with your family to plot the vengeful downfall of your ex-husband wasn't something you could do without answering a few questions. Why, of all the men out there, did you pick Logan Bennett? Elena's hand traveled to her stomach, to the small life growing inside her that would forever be the silver lining to the many mistakes she made in marrying Logan. I don't know, Gray. I was desperate to get out of this cage, only to end up in another. I followed you, or, well, had people following you, checking in to make sure you were okay. Elena smiled at her brother's protectiveness. And to see the way he made you shrink, the way you got dimmer every single day you were with him. Elena looked down, ashamed. I should have never married him, I know. Grayson grabbed Elena's hand in a show of support. We're going to get your light back, Elena, and take that man down. Just tell me what you need to do, and I'll do it. Elena squeezed her brother's hand, more grateful than ever to be back in her family's fold. An hour later, Elena was standing in the sleek stainless steel kitchen of her penthouse. She had recently closed on her own place, desperate for some semblance of independence. She was wearing a turquoise sequin dress that shimmered in the stage lighting she had recently set up, giving off the illusion of a mermaid's tail. She cut into a large, rare steak. Elena pressed record on the phone perched before her. She spoke directly to the lens as she continued to casually cut the steak. I've been getting a lot of questions recently about savage sirens, so I thought I'd give everyone a little lesson in Greek mythology. You see, sirens were mythical creatures who would use their voices to lure in sailors. In some retellings, the sirens would help lead sailors who were lost at sea to nearby land, and in others, the sirens would drive the sailors into the rocks of the shallows, leading them to horrifyingly bloody deaths. So, I think the real question you should all be asking me isn't what a siren is, but what kind of siren is the savage siren? And am I trying to save men or drive them to their bloody end? Elena took a seductive bite of her steak, a bead of the meat's blood trickling down her chin. She wiped at it with a long, perfectly manicured finger before sucking the blood from her own digit. With a smoldering smile, she ended the video and uploaded it to Shoutback. As instantly as it appeared on the platform, the hashtag Siren Strike was trending. Elena's cryptic message had fans spiraling, trying to decode what she meant and who she was. She loved watching the online chaos that seemed to churn up in the wake of all her videos, recognizing the handles that her PR team had created to stoke and control the conversations in Elena's favor. Suddenly, her phone rang, and her mother's picture appeared on her screen. Elena reluctantly answered. Yes, Mother? Do you know who I just got off the phone with? Your plastic surgeon? Elena was feeling quippy after the splash her video made. Logan Bennett's lawyer. Her mother's voice was clipped. Elena stiffened, trying to deduce what Logan had up his sleeve. But before she could come to her own conclusion, her mother interjected. He was asking about your trust fund. You need to shut this down, Elena. Now.